Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 21st of June. Have a nice hot cup of tea. And it being the summer solstice, what more appropriate item have I to unbox than this? The Master of Nyarlathotep Gamer Prop Set, created and published by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, which does gaming props and audio adventures and so on, all of a Lovecraftian bent, as it were. But this is the essentially the set of props, documents and handouts and much more for the classic Master Nyarlathotep campaign published by Chaosium originally in 1984 and then published several times since, including the more recent 5th edition of the campaign for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. So, since its original publication in 1984, the Master of Nyarlathotep supplement for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu has been hailed as a classic among role-playing gamers. Under license from Chaosium, the HPLHS is proud to provide this very special collection of props to enhance your role-playing game fun. At the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, we believe great props make for great gaming. So we've taken our 30 years of experience in making props for games to create this set. Because we're able to break free from the confines of the printed supplement book, our props will be printed in larger sizes, on different kinds of paper and with additional details. For example, our newspaper clippings are printed on genuine web offset press, just like the real thing. They look right, they feel right, and they even smell right. And we give you more than just the key article. We give you an entire half page from the newspaper with a backside with genuine articles and advertisements from vintage sources to take you even deeper into the world of the game. The matchbox has real matches. The maps are replicas of vintage originals. Inside this box, you will find all 109 props, including documents, handouts, and maps called for by the Chaosium Game Supplement, sold separately, designed and printed in the most realistic manner possible, plus 21 more bonus props which we've included because we think they'll make your gaming even more fun. Newspaper clippings, large format maps, letters, telegrams, vintage matchbox, nautical chart, diary, ledger and book pages, a Chinese scroll, business cards, photographs, memos and more, including an identifying wax cylinder case that holds a custom USB drive containing 8 MP3 audio props recorded by professional actors and play them for your players, plus we include transcripts for keepers to deploy as desired, a set of 6 Nansen passports issued by the League of Nations for your players, and a set of custom passport stamps which can document your players' travels. Well, so that's a lot. And when you open the box, let's have a look inside. There is indeed quite a lot. I don't want to basically just see some of that, just hint at some of that. I don't want it going anywhere. And you'll also notice that this shipment is Shoggoth certified there. So it's genuine. So let's find out what we've got inside. So first off, we have this a classic user guide, read me first sheet. Always a great thing to see in a box set because it's the starting point. Here's the guide to where what's inside and where you start with it. And so you've got basically all the details of the props there and a complete listing on the back. And that's quite an extensive list. So the next item I'm going to pull out, here's the Edison gold molded records echo all over the world wax cylinder case. Now it doesn't actually have a wax cylinder case in it, but instead has the recordings on an MP3 format on a basically thumb drive. This is there's safety. The next most physical imposing item in here is this Chinese scroll, which is held up that way, and you just think, I mean, the thing is, I mean, unless you actually read Chinese, this doesn't, whether that's Cantonese or Mandarin, likely Mandarin, I don't think that this necessarily adds a great deal. It's essentially to your play of the game in the sense of sort of like, okay, it's not giving you clues because you've still got to rely upon your investigator's skill with the Chinese language to translate. But it gives this sort of it certainly does have a wow factor. It is you just look at it and go, oh my god, you know, they've gone as far as to create this. So that is quite amazing. And then there's this sheaf, and there's this is a six passport Nansens, basically issued by the League of Nations, the forerunner to the United Nations, and it basically appeared post World War One, and it was hoped it would be, you know, the great coming together of nations where you know, they could communicate to each other, settle international problems and so on. Didn't really work, but they were a recognised body for a very long time, and they issued their own passports, which again were and were not recognised. So, and there are six in here. I have to be honest. When they give you six in here, it's not enough. Master Nyarlathotep is notoriously lethal. You know, and if you're doing this by investigator, then you are going to be running out of these very quickly. But inside, you have all the basic details of where you basically record the details of your investigator, including placing a photo, and then the rest of the document is blank, basically where you put your visa stamps and so on, and the prop set includes some of those. So we have like consular service and you know, ordinary stamps as well, so on. Basically mixture there too, and then we have these, which and there's several sheets of these, and these are essentially just peel off and you just stamp them on there, and once in place they look like the ink stamps that passport control would just brusquely sort of like just stamp into your passport. So, and they're all keyed into the different locations where the campaign takes place. So Shanghai, Egypt, London, Port of New York, Australia, Kenya, and Peru. So that's really up to date with the version of the campaign 5th edition of the campaign, which is published using Call of Cthulhu's 7th edition. And underneath here we have a fantastic set of sort of like conditional stamps, which might be cancelled, expelled, revoked, deported, and so on. Which would obviously depend upon your investigators' actions in those territories. So yeah, nice sheaf of those. And then we have a classic map of the world during in 1925, beginning of 1925, when the campaign opens. So it's a really nice little map. And then underneath that, what we have, is the matchbox. So you slide that open. So just to show you that, because that's the Stumbling Tiger bar, which is the bar in Shanghai, in the I think it's in the French quarter of Shanghai. But this clue is one of the very first clues you get at the start of the campaign. Not the Peru one, but the classic start of the original previous editions, essentially, which is in New York and in Jackson Elias's room, and there is a matchbox with this found in his room, and it's one of the major clues. And the thing is, at that point there are so many clues coming at the player characters, at the investigators, at the very start of the campaign. They're not quite sure where to go, and this is one which could send them off in the direction of the Shanghai chapter, which is actually more towards the end of the campaign if you follow it through narratively. So they can jump sort of like across and sort of like almost short circuit the whole rest of the campaign in essence. But nevertheless, great to have that, and it's you open it up. And yes, there's a box of matches in there, and underneath here what we have is a sheaf of folders. So, I mean, and these are labelled, so like each one of these is labelled. So I've got the first one here, and this is the keepers only. It says Peru, and this is the shortest one. And we open up, and what we've got in here, just so we have maps of the ruins and of the route map to Peru. We have a proper map of Peru. There we go. Sorry, that's upside down. Do apologise to Peru. Yeah. So yeah, proper map, full map of Peru. Okay. Letter in Brazil. That's in It's in Spanish. And then we have a telegram message, sorry, and we have newspaper report just ripped, torn out. This is a nice, just somebody's taking time to tore this out. So, and you have, so essentially we've got. Here's the important one on the back, which is search for ancient pyramid in Peru. Explorer plans expedition to discover site of lost civilization, and then that's the basic. That's the patron of the NPC, which will get the player characters, the investigators involved in the first part, and then we have just sort of like general articles, which is just almost as interesting themselves. So we have House adds 600,000 to prohibition bill. On the back we have forbid Berlin security police to wear undemocratic monocles, and killer of Washington officer stirs Washington. These add nothing to the game except verisimilitude. That's great. I do like that. That's nice details. So that's Peru. So the next one we've got is let's see if I can find Australia, Kenya. I'm just looking for the New York one. England, yeah. So this is, well, it says listed America. So just going to open this up, we have, so we've got a plan with Juju House. We have a sealed evidence file marked confidential, with more content in it. So let's just put that like that. Yeah, I'm still not getting it right, am I? There we go. And inside, you've got. That's going to come out. But you've got basically it's actually sealed in there. You literally have to open. You actually have to unseal this to get at the information. That's to the extent of where they've got to. More maps. Another map this time of Manhattan. All in bright, glorious colour. And then we have a book cover. This is a book cover for one of Jackson Elias's novels, or works. I say novels, sorry. Jackson Elias's works. So that's The Hungry Dead, Amazing Travels in Darkest Peru. Map of Harlem. An excerpt from Nigel Blackwell's book Africa's Dark Sex. This is all about the bloody tongue. Photograph from a dig. And then we have the final statement of Jackson Elias, and these are the recordings, basically given form. So there's a lecture and so on. So there's Jackson Elias's final words, and there's a lecture from Professor Cowles in Australia. Letter from Jackson. Is that no? Basically, letter to Jonah. Basically, it's going to be a letter from Jackson to Jonah Prospero House. And we've got a author submission summary to Prospero House. Another handout. Not quite sure what that one is offhand. And we have a shot of the Shanghai harbour front, and that's going to be the Dark Mistress, I presume, in the background there. And then a letter from Harvard to Jackson Elias, and that's what you find inside. Inquiring about a particular book at Harvard University. Just the attention to detail, and you know, the letter itself. I mean, the envelope ripped open, letter read. Business card for basically for Emerson Imports, and then Silas and Kawani, name on the back. And then the flyer for Professor Cowles' lecture. Another letter. This is presumably from Jackson. Just more details about his adventures and some of sort of like his notes. And you can see what's great about this is that there's crossing outs. It's not cleanly read. The victim of the Bloody Tongue cult. Information about the Carlisle expedition. So I could keep going, and I'm just looking. This is just the New York chapter. You see, you know, as I said, this is a lot of basically a letter to a lot to go through. You've got a letter here from Warren Bessart in Cairo to Jackson, and you just literally a lot of these you're just going to basically you found this to your player characters, your players, and then you go, oh my god, one more thing. Card for the Penhew Foundation, and the newspaper clippings. More and more, loads and loads of them. You know, on the back you have appendicitis patient treated by wireless, or Bonaparte's heir, and that's the you know, got a report on the Carlisle expedition, which is what you're chasing throughout the whole campaign. And then Erica Carlisle arrives in Africa. Her the leader of the leader of the sponsor of the expedition, Roger Carlisle, he goes missing, and her sister goes after him. There's the report of it. Carlisle expedition lost. But on the back you have Louisiana will import Mexican labourers. Eleanor Steele divorces Count. Just almost random pieces of news, just fantastic. You know, and then you know, 13 men and 1 girl at mercy of seas all night on sloop. Nothing to do with the, you know, essentially, but you have. But on the back you have important visitors and just more information about the mission. Carlisle departs Egypt. Sheafs upon sheafs of these newspaper clippings. You know, fantastically, you know, interactive and interesting. So you know, the largest of them is this sort of like 2-page spread from the Pillar Riposte, with, you know, Carlisle expedition leaves for England, right across splashed across the front page there. And then you know, you have French troops, French German troops quell riots. Just more interesting news and information about the period. What else we've got? Hand out what you know about your friend Jackson Elias, and you've got a full list of all the novels. And this is just the simplest, probably quite the simplest of handouts in the set so far. And then lastly, you've actually got two of more than one of those, so you'd hand those out. These are almost too good to hand out to your players, but you know, their reaction upon seeing this is just going to be amazing. So that's the New York one. I'm going to find that's China. Where have we got? Kenya, Australia. There's one. So here we've got the England one, and I'm not going to do everything in this pack, because essentially just some of it. Just show these are the plans that the player characters can discover, or the investigators can discover, of the rocket that the Carlisle, basically the Penhue Foundation is funding. The cultists are putting together for their secret plans. We have a letter from Omar El-Shakti to Gavigan. Again, lovely. Basically, they've chosen the right kind of paper. It feels right. It really does feel very good in the hands. Proceedings of the Antiquities Service of Egypt. You have just an excerpt ripped from a book. Telegram, you know, from Edward Gavigan, Penhue Foundation. Giza dig well, or as planned. Work apace at Mycerianus. Thank you for your assistance, most helpful. Just confirmation there. Got a bill for some of the engineering work. A luggage tag. Business card, Empire Spices. And notes and details, you know, just found. Letter in the dread Miser house, and then shipping details. You've got a glorious map of London itself. As I say, you know, what's that upside? Well, of course it's upside down. How else would I open up this map? Upside down. And another big newspaper clipping, this time from The Scoop. And this is in addition to all the little addition, you know, this sheaf of newspaper articles. You know, as I said, you almost said don't want to be hand these out to your players because they're too nice. But nice advert there. HB sauces, nice as cheese. I cannot disagree. So we've got maps of places like the Penhue Foundation and just also got Penhue Foundation, region of Limehouse, district of Limehouse in London. Shipley's house, again all through the different sort of like sub scenarios in the campaign. Trip up to Lesser Edale, and Plum Castle, basically part of the trip to Lesser Edale. Blue Pyramid Club for when the investigators go into Limehouse. Empire Spices, which we saw the business card for earlier. Miser House, yeah, and much more. And then lastly, hence the manufacturing. This is part of the new that, and the plans for the rocket, and sort of like the shipping details, of sort of like kind of the new elements in the campaign. And lastly, we have the Reverend's account. So again, that's from one of the recordings. So that's just the things that you get in the England section of the campaign, and it is quite a lot. You know, this gets the in comparison with the later chapters. You know, they really do sort of like provide you with a lot of contact details. So Australia is really just things like maps and things like the statement of Jerry Grogan, and then a handwritten chapter for the Church Gods of Reality, and then you have a map of Western Australia. Just fold that out. Just be very careful with this. There we go. I managed to open that. Did I? Yeah, managed to open that the right way around. And then, you know, so yes, lots of interesting notes in here. You've got diary entries, a letter, and more. There is so much in here, you know, so just things like, even down to the fact that the Chinese Telegram Administration, it's got a stamp on it. Just an extra piece, sort of like that somebody has had the time to sort of like, you know, take out, lick and stamp, and add to that. I said, you know, the amount of effort that has gone into putting all of this together is amazing. And this is sort of like written on sort of rice paper, and yeah, and just more notes and newspaper articles, and I'm just at this point I'm sort of picking out some of the perhaps the more interesting things that kind of catch my eye, because there's 109 props in here. Kenya, huge sheaf of newspaper articles, map of Nairobi, excerpt from a strange book. You won't recognise the language necessarily, and then letter from the House of the Quiet Repose, time linking, you know, the Kenya to Nairobi to Shanghai. But, and of course, all of this is sort of like the amount of with this campaign, the amount of sort of like clue management you need to do is also fairly high, just because of the number of clues you get. And then let's just quick look at Egypt. More articles. Basically an artifact, and more. So just a lot in there. You know, it almost sort of essentially every time the game master, sort of the keeper, comes to each chapter, there is a degree of preparation, you know, preparing all of these files full of props. So where have we got? That's China, so that comes there. Australia there. And then England. Just putting these in order so that, you know, basically they're easier to find and unpack when America and Peru. So yeah, this huge sheaf of clues that is just going to confound and amaze your players. Put the matchbox in there. Make sure everything goes back in correctly because I don't want to lose any of it. There. So yeah, a very full box. This is a fantastic package if you are planning to run Master of Nyarlathotep, and you're absolutely serious about running it, sort of like to the fullest extent, working your way through it. You've got your players' commitment. With this, you can genuinely, draw them in. Get them involved, have them looking at these clues and being amazed every time you bring out something and put it on the table, because it feels right, it looks right, and it just adds depth and feel to the campaign. It's a fantastic box set, thoroughly recommended if you are going to, if you really want to run the campaign. And what can I say? Almost every good campaign deserves this. So yeah, that's the Master of Nyarlathotep game of prop set, available from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. Worth checking out, worth getting a copy if you want to run the campaign. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook, and I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.